Hey, what's up? I am Greg. I'm the creator of Superhero Coding, where I believe that you can learn a superpower, which is bringing ideas to life through making video games, among other things. So I'm continuing my one game a month series, and I'll continue for a long time, where I make one game a month with one session a week. And you can watch all the parts. You can follow along for free if you want my source code and assets. First week's free. The other weeks are available for a really minimal cost during that month. Superherocoding.com. And with that, we're gonna just jump right in. We're gonna pick up where we left off last week. This week, got the game in a decent place. So I think this week we're gonna work on adding in like a loading screen, or not a loading screen, but maybe like a start, play, game over. There's an easy way to do it that won't be too bad. Wrapping up next week, next session will be our last session for the month. And hey, without any further ado, let's jump right in. So, right there. That's good. So this is where we left the game last time. So we're here, we're at the bottom, we're shooting. The boss is spawning enemies that also shoot back. This is closer to a Galaga than a Space Invaders, even though I'm calling it Space Invaders. Both games from my childhood. There's a lot going on. The enemies, so it's a lot of bullets that you were trying to dodge. You probably need to dial some of that back. But you know, I mean, that's the thing. You're going to play your game a lot. You're going to have to tweak your game a lot. You never make a good game on paper in the first go. It's just going to take a while. Not the last session. 7. This is where I was troubleshooting stuff. Okay. Weird. Okay. Guess really this needs to be called 7. This needs to be called number 6. Because that was a stopped. I don't know. I'm going to call that 7 real, because that is where I thought the game left off. Probably I worked on something and switch back to the old scene. I could make all the bullets disappear when the object disappears, but that's kind of a pain in the butt because you've got to track. You either have to make all the bullets a child of the parent, and then they move with the parent, more or less, or you have to track a bunch of extra stuff. It's not worth it. The game is not balanced, but that's not my goal right now. My goal right now is to show you how to make a game. If you want to make less bosses, less enemies, all that, if you have followed along, that should all be really clear. Hopefully. All right. So I'm going to pick my latest scene, which is Galaga 07, duplicate, Control D on the PC, which would be Command D on the Mac. Drink coffee while I double click to load in the new scene. Always double check up here. Well, I say always. I clearly didn't last time. That's okay. Double check up here to make sure that I am on Galaga 08. And let's do it. So with the UI, I don't want anything super fancy. I want like a start game, and I want like a end game, and a play again. Basically, start, end, play again. And we can do that all in this one scene. It's not necessarily super clean or the way that you'd want to do it. You know, if you want to have a loading screen, then you do it a little bit differently. Like so many things. I mean, there's a ton of different ways to approach anything. And a lot of times, there's not a right way and a wrong way. It's not the right way to have my loading screen, or my start screen is one Unity scene. My game scene is one Unity scene. My end screen is one Unity scene. You've got cutscenes and stuff like that and do different things. You probably want that. If you have Maybe you want to do something funky with the camera, like, oh, when the player dies or whatever, you want to pan the camera out. And you probably want it to be in the main scene. And have all your menu stuff in the same scene as your game, which is what I'm going to do here. It's easy. I can reload the scene to reset it. It's kind of a hack, but it works, so it's fine. So that's what I'm going to do here. Everything's going to be in the main scene. So, as I have talked about often and will continue to, game object, these are big sets of game objects. Everything in Unity is a game object, but these are sort of presets that is a game object with a bunch of extra stuff specific to what you've requested, camera or light or whatever. Components are individual components that you add on the game objects. That's a camera game object with a name, some tags, a transform component, camera component, listener component. Directional light is called directional light. Doesn't matter what you call it. It's a light because it has a light component. Not going to go over all that again. But if you go to Game Object, UI, and for the first time, you add in text. Say, hey, we need to import the TMP Essentials for Text Mesh Pro, which is good. You also might notice that it's created several things over here. There's our text, but we also have this canvas thing and this event system thing. And, those are all supposed to be there. And that's kind of the beauty of this system. By creating this one thing, it says, oh, you need a canvas and an event system. You can make those individually, but if you go to add any UI stuff, a button or any of this stuff, and you don't have those things, it knows you need them, and it just drops them in. So what we're going to do, so we've got some text. It's new text. It shows up down here at the bottom. I'm going to click this. See here it says, Shift also set pivot, Alt also set position. I hold down Alt because I want to also set position. I usually just click this in the middle if I want something to be centered. Now as I move around, the text is going to be centered in the middle. So you can anchor stuff. If I wanted to anchor something to the top right, I could do that and then say, well, I want to move it down a little bit and in a little bit. And then now it will stay relative to that spot. It's anchored to the top right and then over and down a little bit. But usually I'll go for middle and let's do in game first. Game over. Fold, centered, doesn't matter, middle, better than that. So here, you might say, well, why is that looping around? So let me actually zoom in on the Unity scene, show you what's happening. So if I click this, then I move over here and hit F to find or focus. What is focus? This yellow box is how much space we're actually allotting to this particular thing. So if it goes over, it's there. Wrapping is set to be on. And it will continue doing its best to do that. If you have auto size on, it will be as big as you want it or let it. So different things do different things. And there's your size options, maximum and minimum and stuff like that. So like a really big game over, that's probably plenty big. But this just kind of sets the bounds of where things are at. So nothing you really need to worry about too much, but if your text on your screen isn't doing what you think it is, go look at the option and you can change it with the rectangle tool there. So there, that's good. I'm gonna move it up a little bit. I can just grab it over here and drag it. I also want to do something. I don't just want a game over screen. I don't just want the words over what I'm looking at. So I will usually add a panel. Panel's useful. Make it dark. And then you can change the alpha channel, which is how transparent it is. everything, it's ordered. So right now the text is hard to read. It's because it's behind the panel. It goes from top to bottom. So if I drag the panel up here, now the text is on top of it. Now it's like crazy bright. I'm going to crank the alpha of the panel. I don't want it like completely dark, but something like that. It's not bad. A little bit of banding going on there, but it's fine. Don't care. So the panel is there, that's there, and then I want a button that says, again, button text mesh pro. Yeah, I'm gonna click that. I'm gonna click that. That's gonna center it down a little bit. And the text is not actually on the button. It is a child of the button. So it is a text object just like the other one, except it's on the object. If I click this and move here to focus in, that yellow box here functions the same as the yellow box up there. So you can change it. That's one of the nice things about this Unity UI that they redid several years ago. It's all kind of componentized. It's so much better than what Unity was when I started with 2, 3, 4. I guess this came out in 4. So, button should say something like play again. Would you like to play a game? And then I can change the button. I can change the height of it. And unlike some parent-child objects, that is not going to affect the height of this if I'm using height, because that's an aspect of that component. Now, if I scale, then yes, but we're not doing that. We're doing the height. I like that. We will need to wire that button up. Do in just a minute here. First, we need something that is going to kind of hold all the text. So I'm going to make an empty game object. Move it to the top. Doesn't matter. That's where I like to put it. Game manager. Since it is an empty game object, the position does not matter, but you know, you might find that you want to put the camera and the light and stuff like that under the game manager. To, you know, some of this other stuff, clean up your scene, the floor, do all that. I like my empties and stuff like this, and think of this almost like a folder, the parent with the child objects. If it's just an empty game manager, all it has to transform, empty game object has transformed, there's nothing else there. So I zero it out. I'll leave those in there in the background. It doesn't matter, but whatever. It cleans all this up a little bit, and you can put, you know, a lot of this is, as long as things aren't moving, it doesn't matter. My game manager isn't moving. Nothing in here is moving. So I can group those things under there just to keep it collapsed when I want to. So that's nice. So the game manager is going to have a script on it. And I'm going to make a new script over here. Create C# script. This should be very familiar at this point. Drink coffee while it's thinking. I don't think it's thinking. Create C# script. There we go. New behavior script. I'm going to call this Space Manager, whatever. Game Manager, it changes the icon when it does that, so it does something special, so I call it something else. Space Manager is fine, does not matter. Once it's done doing that thing, I'm going to double click this to open up that empty brand new script. Double click that. Take just a moment here. I'll hop over here. See? Hey, if you're watching live, I'd love it if you drop a hashtag live or just a comment and say hello. And get the code at superherocoding.com. After that brief update, we're going right back to the code. All right. So, Space Manager. And make sure your class name here matches case sensitive and everything. File name other than the .cs. So what we want, I'm going to leave start and update in there. No, we don't need update. So update is one of those things that runs. If you've got a bunch of objects that all are running update, it's going to slow your game down. eventually, even being empty. So I usually just take that out. Start, not too worried about it because I don't have just a million things that fire up at the beginning. So I'm going to make a public void function called reload scene. And let's see, I think it's scene manager dot load scene 0. And it's like, hey, there's something wrong. Show potential fixes. One of them is going to be using the namespace of Unity Engine dot scene management. I could type that. You can just type that at the top using Unity Engine dot scene management, and then it knows what that is. So either way, no, I guess I should make that capitalized. Okay, reload scene is now in Space Manager. So we've got a couple things we need to do. One, we need to bring this script onto an object in scene, out of the project into the hierarchy. Remember, the project is sort of like your house. It's all the possible things you could have. Whereas the scene is more like a room. So we need to take something out of the house and put it in our room, in this case called November 2023 Galaga 08, to be able to use it. Because right now, just being in the project, it doesn't affect anything. Nothing will run. So I'm going to take Game Manager, drag Space Manager on the Game Manager. We got it going. All right. Scene Manager, load scene. So this just simply loads a scene. A particular scene. This one, you can use names. I like to use numbers for some things, and I'll show you why. Using names can be good too if you have like a cutscene or something like that. If you use incremental naming like I do, that can be a little tricky, but for this simple kind of one scene thing, using a number makes the most sense by far. So I'm going to save because the little asterisk there reminded me that I had not. And we need to go to the button. So I've got the script on my Game Manager. I'm going to go to the button. This is what you need to look at on click. Hit that plus to add something to the list. Drag Game Manager in there. Runtime only, and don't have to worry about that. No functions. So this is the functions of the game object, the functions of the transform, which is the component. If you've got other components, they'll show up here. And then the function of the Space Manager. So these are all the basic things that come on a monobehavior object, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry about it. We're looking for the one we created called reload scene. Reload scene is what we want. And save that. Okay, we have to add the scene to project. So we go to File, we go to Build Settings. And this is the same on Mac, and Windows, and Linux, and all that. Unity is largely identical on Mac and Windows to a large degree. Once you get into iOS stuff or Android stuff, it's different, obviously. But the way Unity looks and runs, other than Control is Command on Mac and Alt on PC is Option on Mac, almost identical. And I've used both extensively. So, File, Build, Settings. Scene, Sample Scene. That is the scene that comes with Unity. It's still there. That is not what we want. The key thing to look for here, though, is the number. That is scene number 0. So add open scene is handy, or I can click and I can drag. If I add my open scene, that's there. If I drag some other ones in, they will show up. Now the numbers, this is the numbers of the active scenes. You can click these and drag these around and stuff like that too. As I tick these off, the numbers change, which is good. I can grab all those. I can delete. This is handy if you have, you have certain scenes that you don't always need or whatever. You want to exclude them to speed up build time. Do that. I'm going to delete all those. Add open scene and save. Now, when we go to Galaga 09, I'll have to come back here and do that again. but it will then be scene 0. But, let's say I'd been working with, number 7, and that was scene 0. And then I untick that, and now I'm on number 8, and now that's scene 0. So, you might have like an intro scene and a cut scene and some other stuff, and then a game scene. But when you build, you just want to try out the game scene. So you can just uncheck and deactivate all those things. And once you get a big, complex project, you will want to know these kinds of tricks. Don't need it now, but I'm not teaching you for now. I'm teaching you for later. Anyway, Galaga 08, leave that there. That is scene number 0. And so if I had other scenes, well, in scene number 1, then again, we would do the number. So I'm going to save that. And so what it will do is when we click the button, it will reload the whole scene. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play. The game is there. I can't see it very good because there's a canvas in my way. If I play again, it's going to just reload the whole scene and just start over, which is a really cheesy but convenient way to do it. So the banding there is bothering me. I don't even know if you can see it, but I can. So I'm going to change what's on the panel here. Make it a little bit slightly brighter. It's gone now. You'll still be able to see at least a little bit, and I like that better. So what we need to do now, though, is we need to have all this stuff go away when we start the game. Well, there's 2 things we can do. First of all, we want to move all these things. I'm going to grab these and I'm going to drag those under the panel. So the panel is now our game over panel. And that's going to have all the stuff we need. We could start with it clicked off and then click it on. That's one option. That's a good option. Another option is going to be to go back to our Space Manager and make a public game object called game over canvas. And it's just a game object because we just need to access the basic parameters of it, be able to set active and stuff like that. It doesn't need to be a canvas. We don't need to get to any code on any components or anything like that. Game over canvas, drag that here. What we do next then, on start, we say game over canvas dot set active false. So what that's going to do is as soon as we hit play or the scene loads, the game manager is going to turn off the game over scene. Now, we need to turn it on when you lose. But that's convenient because now I can see it, I can have my stuff, and then I can do that. And you can put a boolean that says, auto turn off canvas or whatever. It's an option. I'm usually gonna show you more than one way to do things, and I will often do the same action, like creating a script, different ways because I want to show you the ways. Because over time, you're gonna figure out, oh, this is how I like to do it. I right-click everything and hotkeys. You're a power user, you'll end up there. This is one way to do it. I could also just turn it off. But you know what? If I turn it off, it doesn't matter. Start tries to turn it off. Starting off doesn't matter. And actually, probably, you don't want to unstart. Start's called before the first frame update. You could see a little bit of delay with this in start. Instead, put it inside of awake. And so awake turned blue once I typed awake. If it's something else, then now this is just a function that I've made called awake ASDF. If I do, and even with an extra F, if I do that, it turns blue, then okay, it's part of the mono behavior of this script. So awake happens basically as everything is starting up. So you'll pretty much never see the stuff that happens in awake. It can slow things down, but it won't for you anytime soon. but it's a little bit safer to put startup stuff inside of awake rather than start. That's why it's so. Now it's there. It's inside awake. For all practical purposes, it's going to do the same thing. I hit play, it goes away. I need to die. All right, you lose. Go to that. So that is inside the bullet function. So what we need to do, so we need to trigger something somewhere that says, hey, game's over. We're going to need it here. We're also going to need it inside Space Boss because, you know, maybe I'm really good and I destroy the Space Boss and, you know, then that's it. Hey, you won. That would actually be kind of cool. Probably won't have time right now, but you destroy the boss, all the enemies go away without you getting shot, you win. Not going to get to that this time. But what we need to do, we need to call something, probably on the game manager script, that will trigger these things. So what we're going to do, so it's called Game Space Manager. All right. Let's do, okay, so we've got the destruction stuff right here for the boss and the player. So that's good. It's both, they're both in one place. We're going to make a new function called end of game stuff. And so we could make a public game object called space, yeah, my space manager. Yep. My game manager, and then inside of awake. So, but what we don't want to do, well, I guess that would be all right. So, again, many ways to do things. What we don't want to do is have to go into every bullet and set it. But we've only got the bullet in a couple of places. I mean, we've got enemy bullet, boss bullet, and player bullet. I guess that's okay. I was going to say, you know, we can do a game object find, which you shouldn't. But, I mean, game object find is okay. You can find it by the name, but it's processor intensive a little bit. And so doing that every time a bullet spawns is a bad idea. I think what we're going to do instead is we're actually going to look for a space manager. So we're going to call space manager because we are actually going to do stuff with that space manager script. And I'm just going to call it my space manager. Aha, yeah, I was there. And what we can do, so we're going to save that, and then I'm going to switch back over. We're going to do our end of game stuff here. Private void end of game stuff. And I'm going to come back here. So player bullet, boss bullet, enemy bullet. I can click all three of those. And I did make it public. All right. Method must have a return type. Oh, okay. I changed that. It doesn't know I changed that yet. Come on. Reload. That'll go away. Then I can do it. All right. So I click, control click, control click. So, you know, this means there are multiple values, but this is the same. With all three of them, I can now click that and drag that in, and sure enough, it's on all three. And so, end of game stuff. So what I want to do, so we're going to need really I guess we're just going to account for the boss death at this point. So we'll do game over. And game over canvas dot set active true. And then just alt tab back over so it'll recompile. Game stuff. We want to talk to our space manager dot do game over. So, in theory, when I kill the boss or the player, we will now get a game over message. So I hit play, starts like that, shoot this, I'm dead. Big reference not set to an instance of an object. No, I should have clicked that while it was still in there. Did I miss one? Let's find out. Did the enemy bullets not have the right reference? It does. It's got a reference there. It's got a reference. It's got, that does not have a reference. Okay. That's what I did wrong. Enemy, also has the bullet script, even though it's not really a bullet. It's enough. I'm going to save that. I guess we're just doing everything in scene 8 today. That's fine. Play a few times. Hey, I busted the boss. You, and then I got killed. You lose. So something did not work right. Over stuff. Game over canvas. Set active true. Is my game over canvas there? Yeah. Well. You lose. Okay. I have done something. Oh. All right. So put that in here. End of game stuff. And I got a couple more. So let's do something a little bit nicer. So we're gonna need to do public TM Pro. No, that's not right. Text underscore TMP. Nope. TMP underscore. I think I need to do using TM Pro. Public text. There we go. TMP underscore text. End txt end game message. Save that. So what I want to do is let's send, do game over. You won or you lost. So here I want to receive a Boolean. Say one. Did we win? Or we won. Bool, we won. Lose. That is false. If you destroy the boss, then that is true. And then we want to send this along as well. Come over here and receive it. So on game over bool, because when you are receiving something, you have to tell it what kind of variable it is and give it a name. It doesn't have to be the same name. It could be that. As long as I check for that, it's fine. We won. And so if we won equals true, do that. Otherwise, do that. But in either case, we want to do this. And actually, we're going to have to put this up here because If the game object is not active, you will not be able to change properties like stuff with the text. So we set it active. If we want is true, then we want to say text end game message equals you win, you won, whatever. Here say game over, you lost. Well, you lost. Not quite as emphatic about it. Yep, dot text. And dot text because we are setting the parameter of the TMP text object. So it'll never say game over again, but that's fine. You shouldn't either. If I've done my job right, hit play. All right. So if we die, bam, game over. Because I didn't set the stuff to the stuff. This needs to get set here. Game manager, this is the actual text that we changed. That needs to get here. I get excited. I hit play too soon. It's okay. Bam. You lost. Play again. And I lost. Play again. Now to try to kill. Hey, I won. Okay, and I lost. I know what it's doing. I think this should be okay. Speed do destruction. So 12 takes you there. Okay, destroy me. So everything. If they're all running, the boss is running Space Boss, but I think enemy is also running Space Boss. Yeah, so that doesn't work. Well, so what's happening is when I destroy one of the regular enemies, it's invoking that script and saying, hey, cool, we're done. So an easy way to change this boss, we got the enemy. I can click them both to see what's the same, what's different. Boss shooting speed, blah, 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 blah. So bullet actually, so we're getting a reference to the script. This is good. So what we can do, come over here. We're going to add another, we're going to add it at the top. Public Boolean is main boss equals false. And so again, that sets the default value for all the places. So now, if the script was used in a bunch of places, I'd only have to go and change it once where I want it to be true. By default, I want it to be false. It should pop up right here. Oop, is main boss. Yes. So that's good. This one is not main boss. And so what we can do is I will come over here, and before we destroy it, we'll say if sb.is main boss equals true, because use two equal signs to compare values, one equal sign to assign value. Then in-game stuff is true, and we want to do the destruction. Otherwise, just do the destruction. And I could have just left it down here, but you know, if you want to do, if we wanted to do points and stuff like that, we would want to, you know, we might want to distinguish or you know, send in, okay, this is worth 100 points because it's the boss, and this is worth 5 because it's a normal one. Maybe we'll do that next week. Don't need that anymore. All right. So yeah, so now when we have an object that's tagged with an enemy and it's our player bullet, we get the script. We get a reference to the Space Boss script that we made. Say, is main boss true? Check if that Boolean is if yes, then end of game stuff. We do that, and we do destruction of the boss. Otherwise, no. And it's not perfect, because the game, you can still play the game and stuff like that once it's done, but it's fine. Alright, let's try it. Alright, so I get hit by that. Yep, I play again. Play and welcome to the really boring part of game development. Now I need to shoot one of these guys. And this is the thing that, people just don't realize, that you will play the snot out of your game. Possibly until you're sick of it. Okay. Hit by debris. I didn't count. You'll play your game until you're sick of it, probably. I need to shoot a yellow thing. I've made the game too hard. Oh, I hit the boss. I wasn't even paying attention to that. All right. So that's good. Now if I hit a yellow thing and it does not say you won. All right. Great. I shot a yellow thing. It did not end the game, so now I can shoot the yellow things and it won't end the game. I hit the boss. You won. Play again. There you go. Yeah. That's a good spot to stop. So we learned about how to add a UI, load some scenes, work with different scenes. That's really important. You want to work with different scenes sometimes. In this case, we've got everything in one scene. It makes sense. You could add a score and all that stuff in here, and maybe we'll do that next time. Those fancy VR graphics are probably gonna be another one. It's been a crazy month. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for today. Let me know if you're enjoying this, if you're getting a lot out of this. I know I have one comment that said it's just starting his game dev journey and has been really helpful. That keeps me doing what I'm doing. So yeah. I guess we're done. As always, you can get the code at superherocoding.com. The first week of the month is always free. The other weeks of the month, the art and code is available for a minimal fee during that month. It goes up chunk after the month is over. But I mean, the videos are always free. You're welcome to follow along and do what I do, and that's no problem. So let me know if this has been helpful, and see you next time.